Okay, here we are with 92 stitches cast on, and I have another 4 to go. So I'm gonna move this over so I make my V. That's 93, 94, 95, 96. Okay, so I have 96 stitches now. Okay, now I'm going to join it so that I can knit in the round. So I'm going to, what I want to do is to knit in a circle. So I'm going to have, I want to arrange the stitches so that the bottom is all facing in. So I can just lay it down on the table and you can kind of make sure it's not twisted, otherwise you'll end up with a Mobius strip, which might not work out very well for a hat. At least not for a Watchman hat. Okay, so we have all the bottoms all facing the same direction. It might want to flip up, but that's okay. As long as it is going in all the same direction. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to pick it up and we're going to start knitting. And then make sure you knit with the yarn that is attached to the ball and not the one that's the tail. And so we're going to insert the needle into the first stitch that we had cast on from the left to the right and into the back. And you take the yarn, go around that needle in the back, and you bring it up to the front like this. You do it again to the second one, and that's called 2 knits. Okay, now you bring the yarn to the front in order to purl. You bring it between the 2 needles, and then in order to purl, you insert the needle into the stitch from the right to the left. You make a cross like this, and you have that right needle on top of the left needle. Then you bring the yarn around again from the back around, and then you pull it up like you would to take it off. You release it from the left needle. Then you do another purl. Okay, needle from the right to the left, cross it on the front. Then you wrap the yarn around, from going around the back first and then up to the front. Then you pull the stitch through. So that's 2 purls. You do it again. Well, we're going to do knits again. So you bring the yarn from the front to the back between the 2 needles, and here we go again. We go from to do a knit, you go from the left to the right, and you cross going into the back, and then you wrap the yarn around, and then you pull that yarn through that loop and slide the old stitch off the left needle. So that's 1 knit, and then you do another knit. Okay, now let's say you put your knitting down at some point and you don't know where you left off. Well, one clue is that the right hand needle is the one where the yarn is attached, So you see this one? It's right here. And this one doesn't have any yarn, loose yarn attached to it. So this is the orientation that you need to have. Then you don't know whether or not you stopped at a knit or purl. If you look very closely, you may not be able to see it here, but just below the stitch, you'll see a V. See the stitches are lined up kind of almost vertically. See, there's vertical stitches there, and those are knits. And I've heard it described as looking like little V-necks. And then over here, there's 2 purl stitches, and the yarn is more horizontal. So you can see it's kind of like a turtleneck sweater, and it's going across. So you could just look at your stitch and see, oh, I just made 2 knit stitches. So the next thing I need to do is 2 purl stitches. So I'll say, okay, I'm going to bring my yarn to the front then to make my purl stitch, and just keep going. So I'm going to just do a few here so you can see how it goes. Purl and purl. And then, oops, and then knit. So you're going to keep doing that until you get to the end of the round, which is right where the long tail is, your tail is hanging off. Okay, so the other thing you can do so that you won't get confused and pick up the wrong piece of yarn and start working on it is you could either well, you can cut the tail so it's a little bit shorter, but don't cut it too short. Leave it at least 6 inches long. Or you can just tie it up so it'll be really obvious that that's not the one that you want to knit with. But you need to save it for later when you finish up the hat. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just tie it up like this. So there's never going to be any confusion that, you know, whether I should be working off of this piece of yarn or this one, because this one is just all tied up. Okay, so where did I leave off? Okay, I see I had 2 very vertical looking stitches right below these loops on the needle. So those were knits that I just finished. So the next thing I want to do is purls. So I'm going to go back to the front, purl, and purl. Okay. So we're going to just keep doing that until this thing measures quite a bit longer, 7 inches or so. But it's really not too hard to do.